Hi, my name's Mel. I call myself the Fitness Czar, and today I'm going to be talking about knee pain. Knee pain is one of those things that just seems like most runners have once in their lifetime, if not many times. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of people become non-runners, is because eventually their knees just say, "I've had enough." Well, for me, that moment came about 20 years ago when I was out running one afternoon, and I just got to the point where the knee pain was just killing me. I tried a lot of alternative things. I tried more stretching. I tried taking days off from running, taking weeks off from running, even a month at a time off from running. And it's still, when I get back out on the road, the knee pain would return. Very frustrating. So even after going to some of the sports medicine doctors and asking them what they thought, they just said, "Look, Mel, you're getting to an age where, running is a luxury. And not many people can still do it at your age, so be grateful for all the years you got." Well, not being happy with that answer, I decided to try one other alternative method. Now, I'd read, about these people who run great distances barefoot, and I thought, I haven't tried that, so I thought today I would go out there and try that. So it was kind of a cool morning. I found my way out to my trail, took my shoes off, took my socks off, and I stuck my feet into the cool dirt, and I went, "This is going to be interesting." And I started down the trail running barefoot. So I planned this run to be a nice short run, go out a quarter of a mile, and then I'm going to come back a quarter of a mile. I figured if I went too far, I could cause real damage to my feet. Because when you run all the time in shoes, your feet are very tender. They don't like things. So as I ran along, I noticed that as I stepped on rocks and the hard ground and stuff like that, I noticed immediately that I had to run differently. I didn't have to tell myself that. My body told me that. And so I was instantly making adjustments in my running style in order to accommodate running barefoot. Well, what it really was doing is it was changing me from being a heel striker to running on more of the balls of my feet. So what that means is instead of running where I'm hitting like this if this was my foot and running on my heel, I was running more like this on the midsole of my foot, which meant that there was kind of the cushioning, because as I pushed down, it didn't happen all at once. It made it a little bit more cushiony as I ran. So as I'd step on these rocks and other things, I'd kind of absorb them but not push real hard on them. So just the few minutes that I did run that first day, I noticed that my running style was changing. So I ran out, I ran back, I put my shoes back on, scrubbed the dirt out, and went back to the office. The next day I went out and did the same thing again. This time I ran just a little bit farther. And the third day was followed a little bit farther. So I wrote down a list of all the things that I learned from my little barefoot running experience. Number one and foremost is that my sore knee wasn't sore from doing this running. So something I was doing different, the way that my style was not aggravating my knee injury. In fact, I think it was healing. So next I found out that rocks and twigs and all that debris on the trail, it hurts. So the trail of running barefoot is kind of a dangerous thing. And so the prospects of, even if it worked and caused all my knee pain to go away, I wasn't going to run barefoot the rest of my life because it's too painful and too dangerous. There's glass, there's nails out there. You just really don't want to step on those things. So that was the next big thing that I ran. I noticed that it changed the way that I ran. It changed me from where I was actually running on the balls of my feet more and running on the heels less. Well, that had a really noticeable, nice effect on my running style. So now the big question becomes then, if this is working, then what do you do to be able to take this running style and change it over to be able to run on the roads and stuff and run on places where you can't run barefoot? So I was looking for a shoe that would run like I run when I'm barefoot. And so what that means is you need to find a shoe that doesn't have one of these things on it. So what I'm talking about is that most of the modern shoes now, they're built with this big cushion on the back of your heel. They designed the shoe so that we'd all become heel strikers, so that we'd hit with a nice heel and then roll off from it. The idea of hitting and rolling is a really nice idea, but I don't think that was how we were designed to actually run. So I did find an alternative to that. It's called a zero drop shoe, and you can see that this says zero drop on the and what it really means is that even though there's padding inside of it, the padding doesn't elevate your heel and drop your foot. So you're not running forward anymore, you're running with a zero drop. So it's kind of like running barefoot, but you're not. One of the other things about these are Ultra shoes, is they made a big shoe box up here in the top, which means that your feet have room to spread out. It makes a very, very comfortable shoe to be running in. So I really endorse these things. So this is my answer to be able to run barefoot without running barefoot. I did go down to the running store and I found out that the shoe comes also in lots of other styles. This is more of a trail shoe. You can see that this one has a lot more padding than the other one did, and it's really, really nice, especially when you're running long distances up in the hills, you're running on trails. It's just like the Mercedes-Benz ride when you're running. It's very, very comfortable. I really like these shoes. So I did want to talk about the science of all this just a little bit. I went out to the web and I found a website that talked about it, and it talked about running styles in terms of force. So basically we've got a person who's going to weigh anywhere between 150 to 250 pounds, and they're coming down with 1 foot, and they're coming down on an area that's about that big. So if you're forcing 150 to 250 pounds down to a small spot like this, there's going to be a lot of force exerted on that one location. Now if you're hitting on the heel of your foot, then that force is going to go up through your ankles, to your knees, to your hips, and to the rest of your body, to your spine as well. And it's going to cause some discomfort. So, I mean, that's what you can expect. So what they did is they actually drew some diagrams of how that force looks. And so they had some measuring equipment where they had a runner run, and they measured the force that was exerted on a small area. Well, what that graph looked like is it looked like a sharp spike, and then it dropped down, and then it went back up, and then over like this. So what that means is that there was a really strong force that was exerted on the body at that very sharp instant of time, that really tiny millisecond of time, and then it was spread out. The difference being is that when you're landing on this, the force is really high, it exerts it immediately. When the force was more on the forefoot, it was absorbed a little bit more, and the graph looked actually like this and then over the top, and it was spread out to a wider distance. So the idea is if you can spread the force out to a longer period of time, the force is minimized and it doesn't hurt as much on your body. It's not so jarring. So that's the big benefit that you gain. That's the benefit that kind of helps your joints not to get inflamed. And I was going to mention one other benefit that I did find. For myself, I'm still trying to be a competitive runner. I'm 59 years old, and I still, try and run, mile splits at around 6-minute miles. That's for 5Ks, and as I get to the longer races, yeah, obviously I got to slow that down. But I'm still running pretty fast, and I'm very competitive. And one of the things that I found out is that when you actually strike on your forefoot, what it does is it takes and it loads up these muscles right here in your calf, and it actually stretches those things, and it creates kind of a springing action. So as I step and spring, I'm actually springing myself forward. Again, it makes a big difference in how you're leaning as you're running, and how your stance is. But if I'm running with springs in my shoes, that's a good thing. It makes me faster, and fast is always better. So my parting advice for you, okay? Try the experiment. If you're suffering from knee pain, go out and find yourself a grassy field, someplace where you feel safe, check for any sharp debris and stuff like that, and go out and run barefoot and see what happens. See if it doesn't feel good. Don't run too far. I warn you about this because a couple of things are going to happen. One, you're going to stretch this part of your foot, And you're going to stretch these tendons on the backside right here. And you're going to stretch your calves. All of these things, you don't want to stretch them out in one running session, okay? Spread it out. I would recommend on your first time of ever running barefoot, don't go more than a mile max. Go a half a mile. Go a quarter of a mile and see how it feels the next day. Take your time, gradually build into this. And then if you like that, then if you go back out and you invest in some of these shoes like the Ultras and stuff like that, once you go out and you buy the Ultras, they're going to feel super good and you're going to go like, wow, this is the greatest thing in the whole world. It's since, sliced bread and butter and ice cream and stuff like that. But don't go too hard, too fast. Again, the same warning. It's going to stretch out. It's going to stretch out the bottom of your foot. It's going to stretch out your tendons, and it's going to do that. So take it easy. So build into it. I wouldn't go more than a couple of miles, in the first week, on any one run. So take your time. And then, keep a journal. Keeping a journal is kind of a good thing, write down how you feel today so you can go back and you can read about it and see how things went. So good luck with your running. I hope this suggestion maybe helps one of you guys to run longer, run faster, or just get back into running. So anyway, appreciate your time. Take care. See ya.